A lot of people are asking themselves, how do we get Occam's razor actually into real modeling? So how does it translate? Everything needs to be as simple as it can be, but as complex as it needs to be. How do we translate this into modeling? Well, and there's three different ways that we need to consider there. First is about the type of model that we are looking at. There's what we call a full model, then there's the null model, and then there's the minimum adequate model. So if you take a full model, what people often look at is they look at so-called p-values, that is probability values. So they look at how is there a chance that the pattern I'm looking at is not random. In other words, it means something. Well, and the problem is these p-values, they change. If you look at a full model and then you reduce this to what we call a minimum adequate model, a minimum adequate model is what is closest to Occam's razor. That is as simple as possible, as complex as necessary. When you check the p-values change. In other words, the probabilities or the chance that the model is random does change depending on whether you have a full model that contains all your predictor variables or you have a minimum adequate model which is reduced, which only contains the ones that mean something but not anything beyond. So, but what is now the twist is that many people don't do that with probability values. Other people use something called Ikaike's information criteria, and then there are even other parameters that people look at in order to reduce the model. So Occam's razor, in a nutshell, is then not anything that is set in stone when it comes to statistics. There are different flavors, schools of thinking. Some people are a little bit more careful, others are not. So there's not the one size fits it all, but what is important is you need to go down all the rabbit holes. You need to be conservative. You need to check for all the artifacts, for all the problems that you can have in your data set in order to arrive at what we call a minimum adequate model by all means. And then you have brought Occam's razor onto street level.